yeah, he really has basically no tools to deal with the Beastmaster creeps. So, okay. They'll put it in Ben Jazz's hands again. Obviously, last time around it didn't work, but last time was too much pressure too early to put on his shoulders on a Beastmaster. So we'll see what they look to do this time to maybe try and alleviate some of that pressure. 5RAT, though, are not going to let Kataro play as Terrorblade again. They were able to get to it last time well before it was ready to fight, but it's still Kataro Terrorblade. You really just can't let it happen. The TA ban, maybe not quite as popular for Kataro, but still a hero who could have given them problems.
Yeah. I think would have played very nicely into Beastmaster, Ember Spirit with their timings, as well as just any hero that has anti-armor is just going to make Ember Beastmaster feel even better, as they are just majorly physical damage at those earlier stages, so Meld feels really nice, as well as I think just having a nice lane versus Brood last track. And there is still time for Ravens to find a counter here. I think the TB is a little bit of a whiff. It's definitely tough for Broodmother early on, but whenever you don't have meta, I mean, Broodmother just walks all over you. So I feel like that's where leaning into Kataro's comfort maybe a little bit too much, because there's got to be something. There's got to be a Kataro hero that can just deal with the Broodmother. I think the Slark ban is very smart from 5RAT way back when. I think that's it kind of has become the best answer for Broodmother in a lot of these games. But there's got to be some counter, and I'm not sure what it is just yet, but Kataro's got to be thinking.
Yeah, they are taking some time to think. They do have this ban coming up here first, but would not be surprised if they're trying to maybe double up a little bit of their time. But they do have last overall pick here, ET, so they're gonna maybe be able to take into consideration whatever it is 5RAT choose for themselves before they make their ultimate choice. But we do need to see this final ban coming out from them. They do a pretty good job removing the Nature's Prophet. DNM was just stupidly good on that hero last time out, but at this point, what else are they looking at in terms of a ban? It'll be the Morphling.
Yeah, and 5RAT have kind of a decision to make here. They can either pick a strong laner to pair up with the Ricky, your Drow Rangers or what have you, or they could pick Faceless Void right now, have an extremely weak lane, but actually have team fight. And that's kind of the problem right now with 5RAT's draft. They have to choose one of those paths. Let's see. And
Oh,
okay, well, they choose Marcy. So I'm excited. We got to see this hero yesterday versus 5RAT themselves, so maybe they're the most ready for it. But she just beats you up. She beats you to a bloody pulp. Is greedy, though. Needs a lot of farm. Needs that same Ursa Battle Fury buildup where you don't have Fury swipes. You are not Ursa. You're Marcy. You need Battle Fury BKB. Then you can start to kill people. And you're pretty great at killing people. Dealing with Beastmaster might be a little bit annoying. I think Primal Roar could be that answer for you. But we'll have to see. I don't know how many games DNM has on it. This is kind of a Arteezy specialty pick that's kind of taken the tournament by storm, but I'm excited.
and now if you're Ravens, what is your choice here? A hero that may have to deal with a Marcy being right in your face in these fights. So you want damage, but you also want a little bit of durability, right? If you get caught out by the Marcy and you're on a glass cannon sort of option, you shatter pretty quickly, and that's a pretty solid pick in terms of the damage and the durability coming into play. But we'll see what the item build looks like here for the Troll Warlord, because if the Marcy on the other side is going for a Battle Fury, maybe Kataro could get away with doing the same.
Yeah, that's what you'd hope. And then we got a game of Dota where everybody's farming, everybody's waiting. It's where the Troll Warlord is also just a little bit more capable as a hero. You're going to see the Troll Warlord look for objectives like the Roche, like those early towers, a little bit more than Marcy can, just because Fervor is a great spell. It's a great passive. And they do switch things up a little, but not too much. And we'll see. I think they're pretty happy with their draft.
Now the question with the switch up here, AB1 taking the Skywrath,
Mm-hmm.
will be whether they actually change the laning setup because of that switch. Although, there we go. At this point, we need Moose to actually select his hero. But yeah, he'll play the Ricky. Traditionally, he's the 4, AB1's the 5. So we'll take a look at actually who goes where once we get into the server.
Yeah. And I think this makes the Ricky Marcy lane that would have felt pretty weak a little bit stronger paired with AB1. You just literally have more magic damage to deal with. You've got slow that's very obnoxious. But this does kind of throw speed to the wolves a little bit. I think versus troll, you're already going to struggle. A double melee lane versus troll as well. That blind is just going to be so annoying to deal with. It's a drawback for either side. I think that's where 5RAT kind of make a choice and kind of bank on DNM a little bit more and saying that Speed's going to get level 6, he's going to be fine, whatever. And like you said, we'll have to see where the lanes actually walk out, but I feel like they are just going to lane it together to try and make that Beastmaster lane a little bit harder, but we'll see if it even works.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not just who goes where, but it's whether that switch, if there is one, even pays off for them. So, well, we'll have to wait and see. Game 2 getting underway here as we're loading in. As a reminder, it is 5RATFORCESTAFF who currently have a 1-0 lead in this elimination series. So they can take game 2. They move on. They would await the winner of our second matchup today, and that would be sending Ravens home. So obviously, if you're Ravens,
through anger,
well, playoff lives on the line here. No room for error anymore. And well, they put together something ET here, which I feel like they're maybe a little bit more comfortable on in terms of their timing, which is kind of strange because in game 1 they felt pretty comfortable too, right? They had Katara Terrorblade leading the charge, but they just didn't really have the actual execution out of the laning stage that they needed.
Yeah, and I think more directly as well, 5RAT just don't find those insane counters this time around. These heroes might struggle a little bit, the lanes might be slightly more annoying, there's just going to be a little bit more harass they have to deal with, but every hero isn't answered by a 5RAT hero. They've got a little bit more space, a little bit more time to work with, and just able to survive the lanes even easier. It's where I think we're going to see a lot more draws as opposed to 5RAT just taking everything, even though 5RAT are typically a team that plays very well in those first 10 minutes. But we'll have to see. And no kind of inclination here of how they're going to lane it up. I think Moose is just going to lane bottom, and they are going to lean hard into this troll lane, which I don't necessarily like, but again, talked about in draft, it is just to give DNM a slightly easier time. Scarth Mage is the most capable support on his team. Now they're just sticking with the safe laner.
Yeah, I mean, they know that the Marcy needs that early farm, so is it the best or most efficient in other parts of the map? No, not really, but if DNM doesn't get what he needs, then this whole lineup maybe starts to fall apart anyway. So, a necessary sacrifice, and we'll see just how much AB1 gets done here, because regardless of the setup, regardless of who he's laning with, where he's laning, it's Skywrath Mage. He is going to be incredibly annoying for Ravens to deal with.
Yep, and is much better at killing the boars when the boar goes down. And we'll have to see. Might affect Benjaz's skill build a little bit, even though it goes both ways. Once Benjaz hits level 3, has a level 2 boar, then AB1 is the one that has to be very scared. But that was a great tossback onto Dismar. And I don't know if Dismar walks out of this. Of course, has Stick, has Fairy Fire, but great damage traded.
Yeah, he eats a hell of a lot of damage for a pretty casual play, right? I mean, Dispose, 90 mana. It's not quite spammable, but not the highest commitment there. And while that goes down, AB1 shifts so seamlessly from damage onto the heroes into harassing, killing the boar again, or at least dropping it low enough where Benjaz can't really use it in the lane.
Yeah. Very annoying, very obnoxious, of course. 2 boars, much scarier than 1, but we'll see. Seems like same old for Benjaz, though.
Well, meanwhile, over on the other side of the map, the lane has shifted, ET. We are now 100% in the jungle here. Creep pulls on both sides, but this is a kind of interesting way that they've been playing this out. Right? Kataro has lost a fair bit of health, and Moose has to be careful with the blink strikes in, but he's doing a decent job of it. But a better job up top is Benjaz actually just straight dies.
Yeah, it's that level 2 timing, mainly from DNM. The Marcy just a little bit stronger. It's the Arcane Bolts aren't very that scary as Dismar as well. Same play. It's a lot of mana, but hey, it works. I think they got this too. Fairy Fire is going to make it close, but yeah, has enough mana. Just really not respecting the Marcy and also probably not ready for it either. just comes out of nowhere.
Hmm. And that is the thing that I think people get maybe lulled into that false sense of security when we saw this from Shopify Rebellion. Yes, Marcy is a carry. You want to focus on your last hits, but this is the same position for Marcy that can jump in your face, right? DNM maybe won't take every opportunity because it could cost him some last hits, but Benjaz and Dismar, it seemed like they were treating DNM like maybe his nature's prophet in the last game, assuming he wasn't going to go for that aggression, and that's not really a great assumption to make.
Yeah. And all it takes for DNM is to just get maybe a mango come in, maybe some other items, and then he can just go for that play again. Of course, eventually it starts going into the sidekick. I would be really surprised if we saw anything other, even though a second point and rebound doesn't feel too bad, but that's certainly more the support oriented build. But to keep the aggression going feels great. Of course, playing now versus two heroes that have just died, their full health and mana on Raven, so they've got their free reset, so they've got a little bit more gas in the tank right now. But Benja's also got a point up in Inner Beast already. Just does not care about axes in this lane. Of course, doesn't need them to last at the range creeps. That's just Dismar's duty. It's his responsibility on the Rubik, but is a very different type of Beastmaster that we're used to seeing from Benjaz.
Yeah, an indication without the axes that maybe it's going to be more farming focused, that they don't necessarily want too many fights against DNM and AB1. So, I don't know. I mean, realistically speaking, they could still get this. If AB1 steps out of line, then you come in with the telekinesis, and between the boar slow and your attack speed, you could still find that kill. But with the axes, there's a lot more aggression open to you. So Benjaz might just want to build himself up. That's the route he was kind of pushed into in game one, ET, even though the skill build didn't change there, but he needed to be able to get his Helm of the Dominator online very quickly because his teammates were relying on him a little bit more than they expected. So maybe this time, preemptively trying to set himself up for that if it happens again.
Well, we'll see. Is definitely weird. Maybe the 1-3-1 build for him instead, but put some more pressure, especially on the AB1. And I guess that is the big difference in this game, is that AB1's on Treant Protector. He doesn't get the cheat. If he ever decides to hold that tier 1 tower, he has to be so much more careful. It's where Treant is just the free pick in every situation. But it got banned for a reason.
And yeah, I mean, as annoying as the Skywrath Mage is going to be, if you're Ravens, you're willing to deal with it if it means that the Treant is not on the table here. So, you know, trade-offs have to come through. Speaking of which, Moose, it's getting into a little bit of trouble here. Hit level 2, though, gets a point up in tricks, and he is able to really just back himself out. And I want to see what Moose does now. We saw that sort of creep-pulling play earlier on. That was an interesting move, but not too much more came of it, and at this point, Moose is really just kind of playing out of this lane entirely, trying to set up for some water rune spawns and really give Speed solo experience as much as possible.
Yeah, and nice play. Red 2 gets the water rune. PP's going to sadly find out that a Ricky is sitting on the bottom one, even though right now they're trying to bait it and even give Red 2 the other bottle refill, which he will get, and then Moo retreats back to the lane, during which Speed might be getting denied quite a bit here. Katara's kind of doing a great job of just making it impossible for the Brood to approach the wave. He's still getting solo experience, so he's getting closer and closer to that level 6. It's not ideal, it's not the best farm, but it's still better than nothing.
Yeah. He's just kind of chugging along at this point, and, well, this is a little bit of what that troll pick sort of does to them, right? We talked about it. Double melee against troll. You can't play as far up as you may have been initially hoping, but just find what you can. And Moose, I mean, sure, his levels are kind of suffering because of this move, but he really does not care. He's waiting for that 15-minute mark, and we know exactly what's going to be coming out of him.
Yeah, and we'll see. Maybe he gets a lane, maybe he gets some rotation, but that is kind of the problem with 5RAT here. They are just stuck in their lanes for so long. The one hero that can really rotate the easiest is for sure PP, even though we'll see maybe a little bit more from him once his boots are actually completed. But these lanes, wonder if they feel happy with the way things are going right now, because they are certainly still up there. I mean, top 2 CS right now, but It's just where that laning stage is going to get so far prolonged, and you wonder who's going to exit out the victor.
Mm, well, Courier gets sniped there. Moo's able to take one down, so it's being disruptive on the back line, but we're coming up on 6 minutes ET, so both of the supports in this bottom lane are starting to rotate up. Do have to watch out for this Remnant, but okay. They get lucky on the spawn, and now Kara, yeah, you're in a bit of an awkward spot here, but there's that Remnant coming into play. PP's able to jump to it, and Red 2 does not really want to be here right now. He would love to be able to hold this regen rune, and he gets to hold it, but that's not exactly what he had in mind.
Yeah, very nicely played from PP. They don't even get the kill on Takara because, yeah, pops the Fairy Fire. Moose is going to have to go under tower, and actually, Moose probably has this. Yeah. Nice dodge out. Doesn't get frostbitten under the tier 2, walks that away, and a very nice solo kill from Moose. Gives him a lot of levels, actually, as well, because he's been abstaining so much from the lane. But he still lost the last track, which does suck.
Yeah. And, I mean, he comes back, he's still got the regen bottled, so that's nice for him, but just trying to get a little bit too greedy there on the kill on Nakara. And honestly, I mean, it was greedy. They saw that the Remnant was there. Just kind of thought PP wouldn't make the move, and PP kind of called their bluff. So, very nicely done. Red 2 back into the lane for like 10 seconds before he takes too much damage and decides to back off. And LET, nobody was really stacking for him, which is slightly unfortunate, but it's a Leshrac with a regen rune. He is going to just start burning through these creeps, and PP, well, doesn't want to let him get that for free, but against the Pulse Nova and the Edict, that's a little bit too much for him to handle.
Yeah, but he kills the regen rune. He basically says, no free farming for you. Just makes a nice call, doesn't have any vision for that rotation, just knows that, yeah, Leshrac, regen rune, I've been that Leshrac, and then stops any funny business there for Red 2, even though, yet again, a little battle for the runes in 10 seconds here, as they do get a pick on Moo's bottom as well. So no Ricky intervention this time around.
Let's see where it spawns. Red 2 goes to the south, but not lucky this time. Haste rune up for PP. The question is, where does he look to go with this, right? He's got the Orb of Corrosion, so his damage output is a little bit higher than just the sort of baseline Maelstrom Rush. And with the Haste rune, realistically speaking, he could get anywhere that he wants to go, but without a point in the Searing Chains, he'd be pretty reliant on whoever else was in the lane to actually lock down targets for him.
Yeah, he's still looking just the farm. He's going to start to rotate a little bit more once we see Benjaz have his level 6. Once he gets the Primal War, then they can kick out any hero. That's also where top is a powder keg. DNM is close to his level 6. AB1 is close to his level 6. Once those ultimates are there, something's got to give, and okay, PP, right on cue, gets the free kill there, but DNM has already made his way away, so he will escape that rotation, but DNM doesn't want to abandon the lane. There's a Broodmother bottom. He can't kick out his Brood. That's never something he's going to want to look for. He's going to look for a kill top. That's Red 2. Found MNZ, but
is this a fight that he wins? Yeah, there's Moose coming over to help, but very dicey stuff for the two teams. While that goes down, though, that does clear up speed to take the tower. The whole tier 1 gets taken. It is a trade-off, though, as Ben just basically made the same move top. So everybody on both sides just sort of clearing out, causing a distraction as DNM. Yeah, there's the jump in. The Unleash, the Silence, Dismar, points for the effort with the Telekinesis, but you're not keeping the Marcy at arm's length there.
Yeah. Extremely nice play from DNM. Just nighttime, the fog, if there isn't a ward up there, he's just going to lock in and farm. As
taken down. The double silence comes in, moves first with the smoke screen, and then just barely able to get into... actually, no. Looks like he didn't use the seal there after all, so just the smoke screen getting the job done into the stuns out from the Leshrac, and that's probably the most valuable kill that they could have found there.
Yeah, had a Remnant back as well, but just gets caught off guard, and they use the XP that they just got from killing Benjaz to immediately kill PP. Just very efficient play. And sure, you are getting your Battle Fury, you know, a little bit slower than the Troll Warlord is, just because you've bought a full Orb of Corrosion in addition to said Battle Fury. But hey, it's working. You still got the net worth lead. You're still farming pretty nicely. I think now for 5RAT, the balance is going to be a little bit more difficult to maintain because you've just got 3 cores that are all going to want to farm and supports that need items as well. But look bottom,
Mm,
PP just went down, but it's happening again.
whoa. Well, we were wondering what the setup was going to be for this Skywrath Mage, and that works pretty damn well. Silence and, like, 2 slows, basically, into the fight. That sets up for the Mystic Flare well enough.
And Kara also getting kind of close here to some very scary heroes, but we're not getting taken down. Really, the next team fight we're going to see is going to be whether or not the Beastmaster or the Broodmother are ready to take a jab at those tier 1s. They're already gearing up for those rotations, but it's just going to be a matter of who's better,
Kara.
who does it more successfully, and yeah, flying a little close to the sun there.
Not the most fun in the world, and I mean, that's the nightmare scenario. Wandering through the jungle at night and you run into a, 3-foot story giant spider that's very hungry and very upset at you. I have had that exact nightmare before, but Kara at least gets to respawn. Moo? Oh god, Moose. Okay. Yeah, now he might pay for this one. That's a very bold move from him, but Benchaz is alone. PP decides not to go in for the damage. They didn't really have much in the way of both detection and further lockdown, so he gets away with that.
Yeah, just got a little bit distracted there. And Kara wasn't able to follow up at all. Neither does Dismar have any dust, anything like that. So doesn't end up working out. This is annoying, though. This is the tier 1 push. Broodmother is TPing in, but spiders, that's where you look. Where is the friends? And they're not really coming just yet. They are killing this Home of the Dominator creep, though. They will get the killing with DNM coming in. Well, Kara's not walking out of this one.
Moose trying to do a little bit of extra work on the back end there, but can't really get onto Dismar for the kill. They just force him to back away, but that means they are onto the tower, and here's the spider army finally coming into play. They're able to take that tower. Moose, well, basically playing with no fear at this point, ET, and as long as he doesn't get punished, this works out just fine, and this is what you always love to see from the Riki. Can you actually contribute? Can you do something other than just waiting for that 15, waiting for your shard? And it's not the craziest stat line, 1, 1, and 2 for him, but any contributions from him prior to having that dart will be appreciated.
Oh, and he's just not dying. Not overextending, not feeding. Has 2 roots to play versus. He's just being very patient, very calm in a lot of these situations. Even finishes the full Tranquil Boots because he just feels like that's going to be necessary for him to stay out onto the map. As long as the Riki's out onto the map, he's going to get net worth. He's going to steal bounties. He's going to get what he needs to become that super obnoxious hero. And you can already see, in this instance in mid, if he has the shard here, PP's dead, Dismar's dead. Everybody's just not going to be able to walk out. It's why PP already is angling towards a BKB first, because they know that this dart is coming. It's why the 4 staffs are in queue, and Dismar should have his in a pretty reasonable amount of time. But then that is the entire game, is just surviving the dart, surviving the follow-up split earth, not getting picked off. That's going to be everything for Ravens.
Meanwhile, Moose was able to really dance perfectly there. The Searing Chains tried to come through, but he was 1 step out of the sentry range, so as you said, he's just not dying. He's almost playing the part of the Nyx assassin at this point, right? Just invised up, scouting around, maybe sniping a courier here. And Kataro has 0 way of spotting him, so he just kind of gets away with that, drops down the ward, and looking pretty good for him. While this goes down, ET, though, that's a full Bloodstone. Finished off on red 2, and another regen rune for him, so the Lesh is really going to start picking up some speed.
Yeah, and Moose still being obnoxious in the triangle, being a pain in MNZ's back, as there is support coming, but no follow-up. But the cores on 5RAT are just ramping. Battle Fury also done on DNM. He's kind of rocking it right now. Still needs to get it, and eventually they do get Moose top, but we'll see if it ends up being enough, because Everybody on 5RAT is just farming. They're just getting themselves ready. It's where Speed, once he's looking at items like Halberd or Ags, just anti-troll tech, it's where I do wonder if this troll war is going to be able to connect on any of these heroes. And of course, it's that dog chasing a car situation where once he finds it, he's going to stay on it. You can't really get him off of you at that point. But you've got so many tools at your disposal. You've got the Ricky Cloud. You've got all of the mischance. It's where you almost need an MKB to play this game on Troll just because of how much evasion there inherently is in this game. And then you wonder, is it even going to be enough at that point? It's a very, very hard Troll game ahead of him.
In the meantime, well, trying to deal with the push mid, Dismar stole the Lightning Storm. Nice little pickup for him, and they're going to go in. They get the root. They get the roar. AB1, though, trying to run interference, and Red 2 still has the Bloodstone. Although he really is getting chain stunned. Wow. 2 more roots coming into play. Just never got the chance to do anything in AB1. Well, he was trying to act as that backup support for Red 2 at the start, but once the Lesh goes down, he's just stuck with no way out.
Yeah, and this is the problem. Your Broodmother doesn't want that team fight. It's just a little bit too quick. And now they go immediately into the pit. What Troll Warlord loves to do, just go from objective to objective. As soon as those fervor stacks start going, the Vibes is already picked up. And this is a pretty little time in here for Ravens.
Yeah, they're getting through it. 5RAT. Well, at this point, I think even if they knew this was going down, they may not reach it in time. They're starting to move their way towards it, but it's already too late. Aegis goes down. PP is going to grab it. Speed is still kind of pushing forward there, but yeah, loses all his spiders. It has to back away.
Yeah, and with this Aegis, you wonder to yourselves, well, do Ravens just get to farm their BKBs now? Are 5RAT really going to peel back? They've basically lost all of their net worth lead now. And Moose, sure, has that Ag Shard, but now you say to yourself, if you're Ravens, who do we need to sit behind? Where do we need our Rubik? Where do we need our 1/4 staff to make sure they don't have a way back into this game? Because this Aegis has also given PP the confidence to not rush out that BKB. He's got a Maelstrom. He's a much better hero. Maelstrom is almost a necessity on Ember. But if he goes down to the Ricky, it doesn't really matter too much. He's hunting. He's getting closer. They know he's the sole defender here.
There's the jump. They get the dart, they get the rebound, they get the silence, the Mystic Flare deployed maybe a little bit early, because now they don't have anything for the second life, or maybe they do. Another smoke screen coming in, but the lockdown other than that silence was kind of missing, so... Well, they don't get a second chance at a DT, but that's Aegis for... I guess they popped Unleash there, but other than that, really very little committed.
Yep. And that's where, unfortunately, you just have to say to yourself, yeah, we need this 4 staff. And that's also why they gave PP the Aegis, because they do get that one freebie. First Aegis wouldn't have mattered nearly as much for the troll either, where that second Aegis is just a little bit more impactful once you have those BKBs built up, but now there is no more room for error. Ricky just got your first life from you. You can't afford to die or get sloppy anymore. It's where all that pressure is pretty much on Dismar to make sure that mistake doesn't happen again. Even though Moose, Thief in the Night, behind everybody in Kara, smoke pops on you. It's already popped, brother.
They're gonna pop. Oh, they're gonna pop 2 dusts. Neither one of them hit, and there's the dart onto the troll. Stun him up, take him down. So unfortunate for Ravens. Just 1 second earlier on the realization, and it could have gone better for them, but now they're in some trouble. They did get AB1 there on the back line, but they've lost a second hero. A third's gonna get taken down in the tree line, and PP... Does he want this fight? Moose is back in. The dart is going to be deployed. It is onto Benjaz, though, trying to prevent the roar from coming in. The silence is going to be deployed. But just Speed and Moose don't quite have the damage, and Red 2 lacking some mana. So they don't push in, but... Oh my god. Dart comes in. There's the follow-up stun. Second stun from DNM, who decides to rejoin that engagement. And they're going to get onto Benjaz as well. Dart up in 2. Benjaz drops the roar, though, but the rebound's still going to hit onto him. Dispose pulls him back, DNM finds the kill, and 5RAT get the exact fight that they wanted in Kara. Well, not sure what you were doing there, bud, but it didn't work, whatever it was.
Yeah, maybe Sleep Dart should have a 35-second cooldown, you know? Who knows? 36 seconds? What's fair? 60 seconds? You know? We'll see at the turn of the patch. But Ravens just make a horrible mistake. They pluck their troll out of the triangle. They force an engagement where those BKBs aren't done. And of course they're going to get picked apart. And then the nightmare situation happens where both of your supports go down early. You don't have any more vision. You've got maybe one pair of dust on the Ember of the Beastmaster. And then that's it. And then as soon as you lose that sentry dominance, it's basically over. The game is afoot. The Riki is just going to play with you at that point. And they just get to come in and out of that team fight over and over again. And sure, they get an AB1 kill sandwiched in between all of that, but it's not worth it. Plain and simple. It's where now Ravens need those BKBs. BKBs that would have been faster than 5RATs, but now they're coming just that bit slower, and it's happening again. Look at this.
They get the
PP
jump.
just can't catch a break.
Ooh. And well, this is the problem. This is where even in hindsight, how much do you really sort of value it? He went for the Maelstrom, which he needs. I mean, if he had the BKB, cool, he may not die there, but he doesn't do any damage. In this instance, though, he has the damage, but he can't live long enough to use it either. His moves, he's going to get a little bit punished there, but his teammates are pushing in. AB1 actually dies to the creeps there, too, so that is both the supports picked off. But now Ben just has to make it home, and if he was able to do so, his creep, though, will not be as fortunate.
Yeah. Kills a lot of spiders, but yeah, isn't enough. And 5RAT still have to be very kind of respectful here of what Ravens lineup is capable of, especially in between the unleashes. DNM can push himself too far. If he ends up in a team fight where he doesn't have his ultimate, or he uses it and then gets burned out midway through, then you can die very easily on this Marcy hero. And that's also where suddenly, you know, the troll finally has his BKB. He's got a chunky change. He's going to look for items like the Basher, and then you're going to be that big threat you're going to have to give, again, that respect to. But for now, 5RAT are content. They're happy. They're farming up, especially on Red 2. The Last Track is becoming that secondary core and that secondary carry. Makes it a lot easier to push these towers as well. While the rest of the lineup, they get aggressive. The NM BKB, they want to use in PP again. Does he have a 4-staff? I don't know. I think he's just dead.
No 4-staff from Kara, who gets caught out and taken down. There was one on Dismar, but he had taken a bit of a wider angle there, ET, so he wasn't in position to actually use it on his teammate, and now he's going to get punished. There's the dart into the rebound, which will miss because of that 4-staff, but they still get the kill. Dismar gets taken down, and they're going to push their way onto a tier 2 here. Sidekick onto speed, but the glyph is going to push them back. A glyph, though, that will not be refreshed if they lose this tower, so well, Ravens, it's a little bit of a risky play. They just lost their Helm of the Overlord creep as well, so that's another 250 into the pockets of 5RAT, and you'd see the net worth lead hits 10k here, and if you're Ravens, what is your response here? Do they really just need to wait for the BKB from PP? Because they haven't been able to wait so far, and he's been picked off 3 times in a row.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It sounds simple. It sounds like, hey, why aren't they doing this? But it's the pressure that in this hero like the Riki. I mean, he's a Nyx assassin all the time with an ability that lays up for any other strong spell in the game. It's just hard to play versus. And Ravens aren't feeling strong enough to push out. It's one of those games where if Ravens are the aggressors, if they're pushing a tier 2 tower, Riki doesn't feel that good. Because you're just playing versus a 5-man ball. You can only sleep dart one hero. It's where the game plan starts to fall apart a little bit. But we've never really seen that from Ravens. And I'm not sure if that's because PP feels pressured and like he needs to go and make these suicidal plays to just give space to his carry, which is giving space over to the troll, but it's griefing his own game at this point. And we've never seen that 5-man death ball from Ravens. It's always been one hero's alone, like PP is right now, and then trying to survive with the remnants. It's basically the same idea as him in game 1, just thinking he can survive versus Primal Beast with the Flame Break, where he's just playing so close to that danger zone and hoping it works out. And well, this time it works out for him, but it's just that constant pressure that just results in your enemies getting that much more farm than you.
We talked about AB1 last game having his Aghanim Scepter so early on, as Kara's going to get jumped in on. This time, it's a slightly cheaper item, I suppose, but he's got Natos on the Skyrath Mage here, so he can call his own number, he can set up his own play, and ET, maybe most importantly, he could solo force a BKB as, well, Benjaz does not have a BKB, so he is straight up dead. Kara? Okay. Interesting choice on the buyback. Buys back, gets in the fight, immediately dies again. Helm of the Overlord creep dead for a third or fourth time here, so ET, you're already trailing, and we're talking on the order of magnitude of now, 1k gold that Benjaz has given over.
And the only thing they have going for them right now is that 5RAT have not looked for these tier 3s just yet. Don't feel confident enough, even though there isn't Glyph. And Roche is on their side. Unfortunately, Kataro just had to BKB TP out of top. Didn't know if there was a Ricky or if there's some danger, so he just felt like he had to. And, we can see that there wasn't, but you can never be sure, which is kind of the sad state of this game. But now Kataro's locked in the base. There's 2 minutes of dead time, though, in this game because of that Roche timer being a little bit unfortunate for 5RAT. But that's pretty much all Ravens have going for them. They've got their BKBs now. Benjaz doesn't have his, so he's still very vulnerable. They'd love to make a smoke play right now, especially into the nighttime, but they also know that they're playing versus high ground vision, that there's so many wards. They've got a Hawk out, which would give them a play in their own triangle, but DNM's even just kind of hiding in a little nook right now that they can't even see him. They'd love to get a play going, but it just seems so difficult for them to get back on the map. And, well, here we go. There's Kara. Bye, Kara.
Not a fun time for the Crystal Maiden. Dismar caught now as well. DNM even gets a bash down here, and this is the thing about the Marcy carry that I love. It's a Battle Fury at the start. We talked about that, right? But other than that, you throw a Battle Fury in there. That is the actual, literal, only difference between this Marcy and a Position 4 Marcy. All the other items are exactly the same. It's just pop in a Battle Fury and boom, you are now a carry.
Unleash as well, being the one aspect of that hero that really hasn't changed too much, Rebound got nerfed, Dispose got switched around, the stuns and the slows changed up. But at the end of the day, Sidekick and Unleash are still very close to that launch form, and it just still feels stupid sometimes. And of course, he's got a little bit of a problem, which is that the troll can simply outlast you in a lot of engagements, but not immediately. It's where there is going to be one of those, anime battles between the Troll World and the Marcy, and then we'll just have to see, because, well, Unleash it lasts a whole lot longer than Battle Trance does. Just a matter of whether or not you can actually kill the Marcy during the Battle Trance, or do you get outlasted by Marcy? And it kind of feels like that's where we're getting to at this point. But also, Roaches respawn. Ravens get out of the map, they get the outpost back, they're trying to get any real estate right now, and they get a high ground ward. But unfortunately, it's a high ground ward on the wrong side of the map, and as soon as 5RAT scout out this Roche, well, it's time. Ravens are going to have to use another smoke, they're going to have to use more wards, they have to get to the pit.
Do they have another smoke? I don't think either of the supports have it in their inventories right now, so with the way they're positioning, this might just have to be a run towards the pit. But, well, it's already half health, down to a third here, and yeah, they're not going to make it in time. Aegis and a shard going over to 5RAT. Red 2 will take the Aegis. I think speed. He grabbed the shard. He hasn't actually popped it yet, but this is something I did want to talk about as well for speed. You talked about the troll having to sort of maybe just try and win the man fight against the Marcy as, okay, the fight will break out. They're going on to speed. Can they bring him down in time? Kind of. They will get the kill, but Red 2 starting to go a little bit ham here. He's got the Aegis, so there's not a lot he has to be afraid of, and on the backline, PP, nice BKB, but it doesn't do any good against the bashes that are now in play, so he still gets locked down, still gets killed, and, well, ET, the point I was going to make was that Speed had been going for this defensive build. He's got the Greaves, he's got the Pipe, he's working his way towards a Crimson Guard, so maybe the Troll wouldn't win the 1v1 against the Marcy with that much defensive power, but if they get Speed first, take that out of the equation, theoretically the rest of the fight could go better for them, but obviously, as we saw, they still don't have too many ways to protect their Ember Spirit.
Yeah. And that was a team fight without Unleash. DNM
Right.
used it to kill Roche. They didn't have it for that fight, so it's a little bit more split up. But that was the only pick Ravens were really looking for. And they do get their man. They get the Broodmother. They would have loved to also look for the Aegis on red too, but he's just too tanky. He's got a full Shiva's guard. He's a very obnoxious kill, so they have to break away after that. But next time around, DNM will have his entire kit. He will just look to assassinate somebody if you're not careful. Even right now, he is still looking towards top. I don't think he can solo kill PP, but he's getting pretty darn close to, as well as him having the full Abyssal Blade as soon as he gets his courier involved. And these heroes, oh, they're so close to walking up this high ground, but it's still just too dangerous.
And red 2 is the one who finally gets that shard passed over to him, ET, so... Oh, Split Earth upgrade makes the battlefield even harder to navigate, makes those BKBs even more valuable, because once they're gone, well, the ever-widening Split Earths are going to sort of do you in. Dismar did steal that Split Earth, but he does not have any sort of upgrades himself, because the Rubik's, well, I'm not going to say that poor. I mean, he's got a 4-staff, he's got an Aether Lens, but he's been focusing pretty much exclusively on utility, so... doesn't really have anything in terms of offensive capabilities.
Yeah, now.
Okay. Speed just says, what are you doing out of your base? Get back in there. Does lose some spiders, but... Ooh. That is a long-range dart from Moose, but a little bit too long-range there. Nobody's in a position to do anything with that.
And then they get locked back in. Dismar's annoying. He's got the stolen Split Earth, but DNM's in.
Okay.
Look at it.
Wow. Oh, Blink Dagger does wonders there. They're able to jump in, then the rebound onto Kara is going to take him out as well, and PP. And he has been having connection issues the whole game through. And that's not even talking about what happened at the end of game 1. That one was intentional, but this is the 3rd or 4th time across these first 2 games where they've had to pause for him being DC'd, and ET, at this point, is there a defense Ravens can mount here? There's no buybacks on those heroes. They've got BKBs up, but just feels like there's too much sort of arrayed against them for them to actually make a defense of this lane.
Oh, this feels, like you said, like too much. They've got Glyph, so is going to be something forced out of them that this Rax is just going to go down, but without the Beastmaster, there's nothing to chain up the Marcian. Of course, Unleashed is ticking away, only has another 5 seconds or so of it, but still has BKB, and MNC needs a few roots here, and he's going to go for it, but no! Bashed, and then the fadeaway. Oh, he was looking for it, and if he got the root, he was going to commit everything there to kill
PP's
off.
Caught. Oh, man. I mean, ET... Sorry to interrupt you on that one, but if PP goes down, they're just dead in the water, and this time Dismar's in position for the 4-staff, but they're just balancing on the edge of a knife here. They know Ravens, if they lose it, it's just all down the drain.
Yeah, and the combination of the, I guess, unluckiness of the troll and the luckiness from the Marcy, I mean, DNM just gets to walk that one out. That just feels a little bit dirty, because that was free. That was his play. That was the punish. And the punish doesn't exist anymore. They walk away with a free Rax. There's no Glyph. The Aegis is going to time out in 50 seconds, and sure, maybe 5RAT are unable to transform this into an immediate successive push, but BKB's up in 30. They're still looking for pickoffs. Benja still doesn't have BKB, and he's on the run, and I don't know if he gets out of this one.
Silenced up, taken down. PP, that's not where you want to be. That's an enemy Yule Scepter that actually buys him time for his BKB, and they're going to turn. DNM is the one to die. But they've got to get Kataro out of there, and they can't do it. He is going to get taken down. Kara will fall as well. And, well, I mean, you did get the Marcy. That's a huge kill for them, but the heroes that would have benefited the most from it kind of end up dying as well, but take a look at the fight recap, ET, 1,000 gold into the Ember's hands. That buys him his Aghanim Scepter, so he's still feeling good as Red 2. Okay. I mean, he just lost the Aegis, but does not seem to care in the slightest.
Yeah, no. He's showing off a little bit. He's, waiting for his team to regroup around him as well. And they don't have the Marcy, so yeah,
Mhm.
gotta be careful. But
Oh,
there's
PP.
PP in and out, and no buyback. And now Benjaz, who still doesn't have the BKB, needs a friend, needs something. He's getting beat up. He's gone as well. I don't know. We're running out of game here.
Wow. I mean, he just picked up his Aghanim Scepter. He sees two heroes with no BKBs. 9 times out of 10, ET, alright. That's your play to make, but AB1 just kind of waltzes his way in there, drops down a root and the Mystic Flare, and I mean, the play dies. And now, yeah, you do not complete that TP. But now they're stuck in their base. And another dart. The range on these darts is getting ridiculous, but Dismar was able to steal it, so that'll keep speed held back for now. They do pull him back in with telekinesis, but speed is so damn tanky here. But Kataro's going to give it a go, pushing his way in. Do they have enough? Oh, maybe they have enough for that kill, but that's only because DNM went straight for Kara on the back line. Now they turn their attention onto the troll, and that's it. GG will be called. They're going to try to farm Benjaz in the fountain. Will be able to do so. Yeah. DNM ends up dying at the end there, but it doesn't matter. 5RAT get the win, and they take the series.
Yeah, very quick 2-0 as well. Just efficient with everybody's time here. 5RAT gun for the win, and they get it. Just beautiful stuff from them. And to Raven's credit, they have gotten further than they've ever gotten in a BTS Pro Series. So, for that, they did it. They didn't get double 2-0. They made it one series further than they have in the past. They don't get that great group stage run into immediately falling out of the playoffs. But it's still a slightly earlier exit than they were really gunning for. But for losing their carry, for losing their stand-in for their carry, I think they've done a pretty fine job of just making it through the tournament as well as they have. Because everything has really been kind of going wrong for a lot of Ravens. And maybe next time we see them around, a slightly more solidified roster, a little bit more time under their belt with each other, we see a much more confident Ravens. But the same four core that is sticking around is still looking pretty great and still able to accomplish quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, look at what they accomplished. As you said, they had 3 or 4 different carries. They had, I think, even Dark Demon come in when Dismar was unavailable, so they've had multiple stand-ins at multiple positions. Came into this bracket as the 4 seed out of the playoffs, right? So the expectations were genuinely pretty low for them, but they do okay, right? They take Beast Coast to a full 3-game series. They beat Infinity, and then obviously run out of gas in the tank on this one with the 2-0 that is going to look a little bit rough, sure, because 5RAT did kind of smack him around a bit, but it's still something that they can absolutely build on heading into that second tour.
Yeah. Meanwhile, for 5RAT, they're just looking good. They're right at home. They're feeling great with Red 2. He's really looking like a pretty fantastic mid laner. And I mean, back with Moose as well, it really feels like 5RAT are getting closer and closer to that perfect, very capable lineup that really they've been gunning for a while. But
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's having fun. In this game especially, I've never seen AB1 take more creeps in a series. AB1's just having a ball. He's just loving it. And of course, versus those NA squads, definitely some issues, but 5RAT are getting closer and closer to that top every single tournament, every single series. It feels like they improve on something.
Yeah, they are looking good. You just got to hope that the roster that they have right now is the one that they're going to move forward with, right? You would hate for some of this momentum to slip away because they end up going in a different direction, but if they keep Red 2, if they keep really either one of Moose and Giant, or even Lil Nick, I think, was standing in for them, any of those options. If they're made permanent additions to this roster, ET, I think 5RAT are definitely moving closer and closer to the top here, among both the NA and the SA teams as well.
Yeah. And of course, as one of those top 4 teams in a region, there's, slightly less incentive to move things around. You do get that penalty. Those things are still weighing against you. But, at the end of the day, they're just upgrading. They're just moving. They're just going up and down. I mean, it just feels good. And we'll see. Maybe we get a 5RAT interview. Maybe we don't. We'll probably have to see in a sec here. I
Mm.
think they're trying to get in contact with us. I'm not entirely sure. But it would be nice to hear from them, if they're watching the stream.
We are working
They're
on
out
that,
there.
behind the scenes here. So we'll see. We would love to talk to, at this point, anybody from 5RAT, but We are going to swing it over to a break here while we do try to work out whether there'll be an interview or not, because there is still another series to be played. We are going to be moving along, interview or no interview, into Beast Coast versus Alliance Latam. So an all South American affair to close out the day for us. So if there is an interview, we'll be back for that. If not, I'll send my disembodied voice from the void to let you know that we're not having that either. Either way, though, we will see you on the other side of the break for an interview or for a draft. So stick around, and we'll be right back.